to the Sunday morning meditation service. The word for today is joy. As I approach the conclusion of Advent season, I realize this rather than material goods or creature comforts. Well, it was creator, but it's creature comforts, is the source of my joy. The Christ within is the part of me that is always one with God. When I face challenging times, I can draw from that inner wellspring of joy, my foundation of irrepressible strength and fortitude. I have within me the power to overcome any challenge. This day, this moment, I am joy-filled, and I celebrate the overflowing blessings of my divinity. Well, it's just a beautiful day today. We got to focus on the wonderfulness of the moment. And we're going to do chanting, and it's called response. Don't even think about what you sound like. Just get into the feeling.
Kindness of the heart, breath of life, I bow to you. Beloved,
Good morning, everyone. When I was in the Army and we were preparing to do a hazardous military exercise, they would always have the non-commissioned officers take the recruits into the auditorium and advise them about what they're about to do. And they always used the expression, pay attention, your life depends on it. And you can understand it. Some of the exercises were, scaling a 7-foot wall with your bayonet attached to your rifle, and or belly climbing through underneath barbed wire, or throwing a live grenade. So they had very good reason to say, pay attention, your life may depend on it. But that's an interesting combination of words, pay attention. It's as though attention is some type of currency that we can use to purchase things. And the fact is that it is possibly the most valuable currency we human beings have, is our attention. So pay attention with me as I go through this particular idea. I'm reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, starting with verse 15. The Pharisees went and took counsel how to entangle him, Jesus, in his talk. And they sent their disciples to him, along with the Herodians, saying, Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of God truthfully, and care for no man, for you do not regard the position of men. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, Why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the money for the tax. And they brought him a coin. And Jesus said to them, Whose likeness and inscription is this? They said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. When they heard it, they marveled, and they left him and went away. Take this back again. Can you take a look at this again? But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, Why put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the money for the tax. And they brought him a coin. And Jesus said to them, Whose likeness and inscription is this? They said, Caesar's. Then he said to them, Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. When they heard it, they marveled, and they left him and went away. It doesn't take a great deal of contemplation to realize that this particular scripture isn't really about whether or not the Jewish people should pay taxes to Caesar. That was a pretty far-gone conclusion, as their lives depended on it. But there is something else being related here. And when you know that the Bible writers weren't that interested in teaching us historic perspectives, you look into it and you say, okay, what would be the deeper meaning of this? You understand why spiritual truths are related this way in Scripture. You even have the statement that He is the God of the living and the dead, which is another reference to the idea that at a certain point in our process of living, we are spiritually dead. We are not awake to the subtleties of spiritual practice. So you have the surface literary teaching that, you have the surface literary teaching that the surface mind can understand. It's a historic event taking place, having to do with paying taxes. But as you look into it, you realize, what does Caesar represent? Well, Caesar represents the ruler of the material world, the whole world. Caesar was a god in his own right, as he understood it, as the ruler of the whole world. And what does God represent in this passage? God is the ruler of the spiritual kingdom. Then what could the coin actually represent? What could this currency actually represent? If you think about it, you come to the idea that the only currency human beings actually have is their attention. What any human being gives his or her attention to will determine what comes back to him or her. It says in another place, where your heart is, there your treasure will be. But the fact is, what we give our attention to is what actually arrives in our experience. That's what we're purchasing for our experience. So the coin represents attention. And the question really comes down to, how much attention should you give to the material world? To Caesar? Because you're actually paying the tax by doing it. And how much attention should you give to God? Spiritual practice, spiritual awareness, spiritual insight, spiritual reading. And what is the response of the teacher of truth? Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. That bad again, huh? Thank you. The problem we have in the world, and seems like we've always had the same problem. People render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, willingly. But they also render unto Caesar the things that are God's. We're not open, or want too often, to give time to spiritual practice, meditation. But all we had to do, if we were even marginally awake, and I'm speaking collectively of the human race, if we were even marginally awake, and we looked out at the world as it is, and we see all the anxiety and the guilt and the fear and the conflict and the hate and the prejudice and the war, and we keep thinking that somehow or other we're going to figure this out. But we never really see into the problem as it actually is. The problem is this. We are rendering unto Caesar everything to do with our attention. And we have no inner peace. Living without inner peace makes us a problematic personality. looking to get our own way and to manipulate, in an attempt to manipulate conditions and circumstances to acquire that. And this truth is spoken about continually. Why is it that peace is such an important issue? And the masters all speak to it as though it's akin to, it's equal with the kingdom of heaven. Because it is a mystical state of consciousness when it comes down to living life in a physical sense, in a physical world. So, we have our calling again. If we were to ask the question, if we want to know where we are in our development, which is, we are by the plan of life. If you look at it honestly, the plan of life is that we should learn how to deal with the ups and downs of life in a spiritual way, so that we don't surrender peace of mind, we don't surrender harmony, understanding, compassion. So if we were learning just from life, eventually we would have to learn how to have peace, even when we are being challenged by difficult circumstances and conditions. And this, by the way, is the calling, that we would become spiritually oriented beings, not just operating from Caesar's whims, being tossed to and fro by every changing tide of physical circumstances, but we would eventually develop this ability to be one with the reality of the presence of God, which brings a mystical state of consciousness, which the world has to refer to as mystical because they have no clue as to where it comes from, which is that peace that surpasses the understanding of the world. So, I can say that we're bereft of the guidance of this intelligence we refer to as God, and thereby we suffer accordingly. I was at the Safeway supermarket a few blocks from here. I actually went in there to try to see if they had the kind of dog food that we were looking for our dog. We've been looking for this certain kind of food that we had found a bag of. We had a bag of it. And we didn't know if we got it from Costco or Safeway or, Wild Oats or... Anyway, I was in there, and I was in this aisle that was very crowded with people. It was like 10 or 15 people standing on line, waiting to get into the pharmacy or get from the pharmacy their prescription, the drug that they needed. And I guess that pharmacy is used quite a bit by doctors in the area, the hospitals. When they give you a prescription, you have to have it filled at a pharmacy, and they have one at Safeway. There was 15 people lined up. And here's the surprising thing. I was on that line, by the way, about 4 or 5 months ago when I broke my hand running with my dog. And I went after the ball, and he didn't cause me to break my hand. I was trying to get him to chase the ball, and he dropped it over the side of a cliff, and I went down to get it and broke my hand. So I was in that line, But when I was in there, I wasn't thinking. I looked at them this time. There's so many young people getting prescriptions filled for any number of things. I have no idea. It's interesting, though. Is our evolution going to bring us to a place of awakening to the power of our own consciousness and how what we give our attention to can actually either bring harmony to us or concern, guilt, and dis-ease in the mind, which will ultimately manifest as dis-ease or uneasiness in the whole structure of the outer expression of the body? Are we going to evolve beyond that? Is there going to be enough of that? Is this particular pandemic another hurdle on the road toward becoming more awake in the presence of harmony, healing, peace, and joy? Do you really think that the life is like without a plan? Everything in nature has a plan. Everything goes forth according to its inner seed. But we human beings think, well, it's chaos and we just get by the best we can. And we get by the best we can by honoring Caesar in whatever ways we can. So let me share this PowerPoint with you from Eckhart Tolle, using this idea as a yoga. You can read this in Stillness Speaks, page 99. Whenever you meet anyone, no matter how briefly, do you acknowledge that being by giving them your full attention? Do you acknowledge their being by giving your full attention? Or are you reducing them to a means to an end, a mere function or role? This is a systemic fault with ego-centered consciousness. Because in the ego-centered consciousness, the mind is almost completely focused on my personal well-being. And so anything that comes into my purview, I have to deal with, and I deal with it if it can serve my personal life. I might give it some attention, but if not, I will do whatever I can to ignore it or resist it or get away from it. And so here we have a spiritual practice. If we are really awake in the spiritual practice that we're attempting, we can realize when we are in a state of resistance to life, and another hurdle on the path of life. So we're going to surrender our peace because we're going to be in resistance to meeting this particular person or this particular situation. And we're going to, again, continue to focus on giving Caesar what he wants, giving the ego-centered consciousness what it believes it will need to be free and happy, which it will never have, because it is an illusion that we are not brothers and sisters in the life of an intelligence that has given us breath and life from our inception. But that's an illusion, and if you want to buy into the illusion, you can keep buying into the illusion and spend as much time as you want not really evolving toward your divinity. But going on about this, Eckhart Tolle speaks to this yoga of attention. He's actually saying that this is a spiritual practice that can bring you into the divine awareness or the enlightened consciousness. And this is how he's saying it. This is in Stillness Speaks, page 100. What is the quality of your relationship with the cashier at the supermarket, the parking attendant, the repairman, the customer? A moment of attention is enough. As you look at them or listen to them, there is an alert stillness. Yes, there is an alert stillness because you allowed them to come into the brotherhood and sisterhood of reality. So there's an alert stillness now because the ego has been quieted momentarily. As you look at them or listen to them, there is an alert stillness, perhaps longer. That is enough for something more real to emerge than the roles we usually play and identify with. All roles are part of the conditioned consciousness that is the human mind. That which emerges through the act of attention is the unconditioned, who you are in your essence, underneath your name and form. You are no longer acting out a script. You become real. When that dimension emerges from within you, it also draws it forth from within the other person. Imagine that. The power to heal in that last line. It also draws it forth from within the other person. If you can sustain that universal ideal and not resist, but simply bless and flow and be in a state of acceptance and attention to the moment instead of what's going on in your head as to what you need to further improve the future. You've just relaxed and became present and found yourself in the consciousness divine, where if you hold that awareness and give your attention to this moment, you will bring forth this harmony and this peace, not only in another person, in other people, not only on the job, not only in plants, but in animals, not only there, but in life. If you don't do anything for me, you've never heard me say that. If you don't do anything for me, I've never said this. So I'm asking you to do something for me. Actually, it's for yourself. Go and see Avatar, The Way of Water. When I saw Avatar, I said to this congregation, it is the greatest film that has been made and is the greatest film that will ever be made. And Avatar, The Way of Water, comes pretty close to tying that statement. What an amazing thing that this particular person, James Cameron, can put this together in such a way. Every frame of that film is a work of art. It takes you out of this world and into another world altogether. And it opens your mind, your heart, your life. It is an amazing, amazing film. It only cost $400 million to make. And it's worth every cent of it. So in that film, once again, they have a saying that they use. I see you. In the first Avatar, they use that expression. The Na'vi people have that expression when they're relating the fact that I see your essence. I see the essence of you. And that's really what we're talking about here, is looking past the worldliness of another person who may be in a place of difficulty, but seeing the essence all the time, seeing them as a divine being all the time. And by so doing that, you're bestowing the truth of the brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity being one in this consciousness and capable of healing each other. So at some point, believe it or not, some point, somewhere, we are going to know. How many lifetimes from now, I don't know, but we are going to know. We have the ability to be free of all disease. And we free each other by knowing we are divine beings going through a human experience. And using that idea of giving attention, giving forgiveness, giving compassion, being present. So, I see you means I see your essence. And when you are capable of doing that, of seeing the essence of another person, Eckhart Tolle is saying, you free yourself. You see, the whole experience of life is in our own awareness. And I can't free myself unless I free every other living brother and sister on the path. But once I do it, I am free. And I feel a mystical state of peace. And Eckhart says peace and joy are similar in that state. So in the film, it's I See You. And in this film, the father has to look at his son, who's been in a lot of trouble in a lot of ways. But then he says, I see you. So I'm going to share a meditation now, a guided meditation. Just take a couple of deep breaths. As you release the breath, you can release any cares or concerns, possibly, for these few moments of meditation. At first, I see you as a person fashioned by the world in which you live. In spiritual practice, I free my mind of such limited perceptions. I free you, and I see you as a divine soul working out your karma. Freeing you is freeing me. Let's forever know there are no differences and enjoy enlightened peace. At first, I see you as a person fashioned by the world in which you live. In spiritual practice, I free my mind of such limited perception. I free you, and I see you as a divine soul working out your karma. Freeing you is freeing me. Let's forgive our differences and enjoy enlightened peace. Let us bring to mind the guiding truth from A Course in Miracles. When you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. As you see him or her, you will see yourself. As you treat him or her, you will treat yourself. As you think of him or her, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in the other, you will find yourself or lose yourself. Whenever you meet anyone, you are given another chance at salvation. Never leave anyone without giving him or her salvation, and thereby receiving it yourself. At first, I see you as a person, fashioned by the world in which you live. In spiritual practice, I free my mind of such limited perceptions. I free you, and I see you as a divine soul working out your karma. Freeing you is freeing me. Let's forgive our differences and enjoy enlightened peace. Let us bring to mind the guiding truth from A Course in Miracles. When you meet anyone, remember it is a holy encounter. As you see him or her, you will see yourself. As you treat him or her, you will treat yourself. As you think of him or her, you will think of yourself. Never forget this, for in the other, you will find yourself or lose yourself. Whenever you meet anyone, you are given a chance at salvation. Never leave anyone without giving him or her salvation, and thereby receiving it yourself. At first, I see you as a person, fashioned by the world in which you live. In spiritual practice, I free my mind of such limited perception. I free you, and I see you as a divine soul, working out your karma. Freeing you is freeing me. Let's forgive our differences and enjoy enlightened peace. For I see you. Let's forgive our differences and enjoy enlightened peace. For I see you. I see you. And I am free. I see you. And I am free. as we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space. Let us go forth with a greater determination to be awake in the process of living. And for this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. To this, we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. Those of you that are watching us on live stream, again, I'm requesting that you put in an appearance at least once in a while, physically here in the sanctuary. Love to have you back sharing your energy here with us. And these are the different ways that you can tithe to Unity of Boulder. Bring to mind this financial gift you'd like to make to Unity, and let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
The birth of Christ within brings peace to all, and love and light to all the earth. The birth of Christ within brings peace to all, and love and light to all the earth, to all of life.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen. Anything special coming up?
We're still collecting food that is for a big meal that they're going to be having at Wounded Knee, the Lakota natives in South Dakota. And there's a really lot that has not been purchased yet and brought to the church for Tuesday. It's leaving Tuesday at 10 in the morning. So if you can look at that list and bring in some of these items, that would be fantastic. And
Right.
we need ushers for the Christmas services. You can sign that in the lobby, and I think that's it.
These two services, you will gain an insight into and great hope for the planet. So join us at the Christmas Eve services And if you like, you can stay around, have some refreshments in Fellowship Hall, and join us in our group meeting, which we have after each service. We can discuss anything having to do with this service or anything to do with unity or spirituality or anything like that.
And we still have some names of children and older children and some elders that we don't have the names, but we have the age on the Christmas tree that don't have presents yet that we'll be sending up on Tuesday. So if you can check the tree and then the big list that's right in front as you walk out, that would be wonderful.
Right there to your left as you walk out, and it'll give you the name and the age of the child.
Right.
And the gender. All right, so everyone, enjoy life.